All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video. What is the Niners' biggest weakness heading into training camp 2024? We will discuss that coming up next. But first, we are brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Go talk to Damon and Mary, get the brisket chili. Tell them that Larry Krueger sent you. And this video is also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Check the link in the description. Use the promo code Krug, and they will match you up to your first $100. All right, what is the 49ers' biggest weakness heading into this season? All right, well, there's a number of options on the table that could be the biggest weakness. I'll say one. We go through it. This isn't in no particular order. I would say, their number 2 quarterback, I think is one of their biggest weaknesses. I don't think that the 49ers are going to be able to win any games this year that Brock Purdy doesn't start and finish. I just am not been impressed with Josh Dobbs and Brandon Allen in the mini camps. I just think that, Sam Darnold was on one level. These guys are beneath that level. I think there's a very good chance that Tanner Mordecai can beat out Brandon Allen for that number 3 quarterback job. He maybe even can beat out Josh Dobbs for the number 2 job. But to me, all of the quarterback position, if Brock Purdy goes down, is a primary concern. So I would say that's definitely one concern right there. Concern number 2 is if George Kittle goes down. I mean, look what you got at tight end. You have Logan Thomas signed off the street. Braden Willis, 7th-round pick last year, who looks pretty good, but he's not much of a blocker. You get Cam Latu's coming off of maybe one of the worst training camps I've ever seen. Eric Saubert, who's just a street free agent. Jake Tungs, who was a college free agent. Mason Pline, who is a converted basketball player from Ferris State who transferred to Furman, who the Niners signed up as an undrafted free agent. So if you lose George Kittle, I mean, the step down from George Kittle is several rungs beneath. So, backup quarterback, major problem. Whoever's backing up George Kittle, major problem. I would say the right side of the offensive line with Feliciano and McKivitz is a problem as well, even though you do have Dominic Pooney, you'd have Spencer Burford, you got Chris Hubbard to compete with McKivitz. That's definitely the right side of the Niner offensive line is definitely a major concern. I would say defensive end is a weakness. You've got Bosa and Floyd, that's a strength, but the depth there, I mean, you got to go with 5 defensive ends on a roster, and the Niners have Bosa, Leonard Floyd, Yatir Gross-Matos. And then after that, Drake Jackson's very much a question mark. Robert Beal Jr. is very talented, but very much a question mark. Austin Bryant couldn't get active for any games last year. So to me, the defensive end depth is a concern for sure. I mean, that's a weakness. Devondre Campbell playing, Devondre Campbell for Dre Greenlaw. I think that makes that a weakness. And the lack of depth at safety. I mean, you got Afonga and you got Jair Brown, you got Malik Mustafa, you got George Odom, but Fonga's coming off an ACL. Odom's more of a special teamer. Mustafa's a rookie. Jair's a second-year player. So you're pretty thin. Outside of that, what else do you have? You have Eric Harris, Taylor Hawkins, Jalen Mahoney. You don't have a lot of great talent there at safety depth-wise. So the depth at safety, I think, is a major question. But if you said to me, what is the 49ers' biggest weakness coming into this year? I'm going to say it's Jake Brendel. Now, I don't want to put too much on Brendel. He's a good guy. He's a great interview. But the middle of that offensive line is a major problem spot for the Niners. Pro Football Focus graded the Niners interior 28th in the NFL out of 32 teams. And Brendel's returning as the team's starting center after he gave up 29 pressures and earned a pass blocking grade from Pro Football Focus of only 42.3, which is really, really low. So I don't know if the Niners are going to go sign anybody. I mean, Connor Williams is out there. He's trying to recover from a knee injury. Schefter, has speculated that there's a number of teams out in the marketplace that are looking at Connor Williams as a late spring, early summer, um, addition. But I would say Brendel is the concern. Now, you have Ben Barch at center. You have Drake Nugent. You have Bryson Mays. You have Jarrett Kingston. You have Nick Zakelj. I mean, they have about 5 or 6 different guys who they could slide in at center for Brendel. And Brendel was a Pro Bowl alternate not that long ago. I mean, we're talking about 2 seasons ago. He was a Pro Bowl alternate. But he's undersized. He gets worked by power. DJ Reader absolutely moved him around at will in that Cincinnati matchup last year, giving up 29 pressures. I mean, if you're going to really have success with Brock Purdy, you got to build a fortress. You got to build a wall in front of him, and Brendel's just got to be better. I mean, and I don't know that he can be better. So to me, that's the weak spot on the offensive line. You've got to find a way to upgrade center and right guard, but maybe specifically center and Jake Brendel. Now, I would go with Drake Nugent. I think Nugent is a phenomenal prospect. I've loved what I've seen from Nugent in practice. I mean, he's really a powerful, explosive center prospect. There's a lot to like. When you watch Nugent, I mean, he's 6'1", so he's a little shorter than ideal, but he's very powerful. He's very broad. And he seems to like to get after it. I mean, I've seen him go beyond the whistle, some of these one-on-one drills. Ben Barch is a pretty athletic, powerful center who comes over from Jacksonville. He can play center or guard. And then Bryson Mays is really very athletic, developmental offensive lineman. Jarrett Kingston has tremendous strength. You can see he's a power lifter. He's got strength in his upper body and his lower body. He's got good foot quickness as well. So he could be in the mix at center. So there are options there. And then Nick Zakelj is, big and smart and tough, and he could profile as a center as well. So there's no, there's no lack of options for the 49ers at the center spot. But if you said to me, what is the biggest weakness for the 49ers going into this year? And I like Jake Brendel, but I would say it's Brendel. I would say it's probably the 49er right side of the offensive line in truth. But to me, Brendel is the guy who's probably the weakest link there. Now, he's smart and he's aggressive. He's made a nice little career renaissance for himself with the way he's played the last couple of years. But I just think that he leaves you lacking. He's a little too small to take on the power nose guards, a little too quickness challenged to really handle the pass rushers. So he's not really what you want in any role. He doesn't have great, unbelievable pass rushing ability or pass blocking ability, nor does he have the ability to really create that space and pop in the run game. So to me, if you said, what is the primary weakness to the Niners? They don't have a backup quarterback. The right side of their offensive line is definitely a problem spot. The defensive end depth is questionable. The linebacker spot with no Greenlaw and plugging in Devondre Campbell could be an issue. And the lack of depth at safety is an issue. But if I had to say the number one concern or the number one weakness for the 49ers going into this year, I'm going to say it's Jake Brendel. Gave up too many pressures. He wasn't good enough in pass blocking. He's not big enough to really open the lanes as a run blocker. I'll say he's the weak link, in my opinion, going into this year. So nothing personal, but I just think that's how I see it. All right. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring this video. Leave your comments below, hit like and subscribe. And thanks to all you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.